It's time now for This Week in Rock and Roll History, brought to you by Tom Tayback. Take a moment to stroll with us down memory lane to the good old days, those rock and roll gold days.
Hi, everybody. Tom Tayback here. Happy to be your tour guide going down memory lane to those rock and roll gold days of soda shops, sock hops in the gym. Let's begin this trip in 1955. Elvis Presley attends a meeting with his dad, his current manager Bob Neal, and Colonel Tom Parker, who currently manages Hank Snow. It's agreed that Parker would become special advisor with control over virtually every aspect of Elvis's career. Of course, this would mean that Bob Neal's days were numbered. 1956, comics Bill Buchanan and Dickie Goodman have the number 3 single in the nation with a tune called Flying Saucer. The entire premise of the song was 2 radio news reporters asking questions about UFOs, which were then answered by snippets from other records. Thus, they got sued by 17 other recording companies. 1957, Buddy Holly and the Crickets played the Apollo Theater in Harlem. Yes, they had no idea where Harlem was when they booked it. The black audience booed them soundly. Not only were they unexpected white guys on the stage, the audience thought they were going to see a black group called the Crickets. But by the end of the performance, Buddy Holly had won over the crowd, and they were wildly cheering the Texan from Lubbock. Also this week in 1957, Ricky Nelson records Beat Bop Baby for the Imperial label. The song already has 750,000 advanced orders. It would go on to sell well over 1 million copies and top out at number 3 on the pop chart. 1958, Buddy Holly marries Maria Elena Santiago, whom he met just 2 months earlier. She was actually secretary to his representative at ABC in New York. 1960, Elvis is sitting on top of the singles chart with It's Now or Never, which will stay there for a solid month. The record would have international sales of, are you ready for this, 20 million copies. 1962, 2 years and 4 days after joining the Beatles, Pete Best was fired as their drummer by manager Brian Epstein. 1963, Peter, Paul, and Mary performed Blowin' in the Wind for civil rights marchers in Washington, D.C., gathering to hear Martin Luther King Jr. speak. 1964, the Beatles are flying across the Atlantic on their way to San Francisco to kick off their first full concert tour of the United States. Opening acts at the Cow Palace were the Righteous Brothers, Jackie DeShannon, the Exciters, and Bill Black's combo. And jumping ahead to this week in 1969, the Woodstock Music and Art Festival began on Maxie Asger's 600-acre farm in Bethel, New York. This 3-day-long event would draw a crowd of over 500,000 people. Problem was, they had porta potties for 40,000. And it becomes perhaps the most celebrated rock and roll concert of all time.
If this is your kind of music, you'll love my Rock and Roll Showcase, featuring trivia and stories about the rock and roll stars along with their charted hit singles at Podomatic.com or on YouTube. Podomatic.com or YouTube. Just search Tom Tayback. That's Tayback. Rock and roll is here to stay, baby.